How do you make sure you have an awesome creative week with lots of creative time put in there? This is the big question for artists. How do you get more time to do your creative work? So I'm doing a bit of a series at the moment to help you get time. So I'm going to share with you my weekly planner and my weekly planning process. I'm going to try and keep this short, but this is really important. Planning time for creative work is really the first step. Without setting some time aside, then things just don't happen. As we know, like if it's not scheduled, it just doesn't happen. It's not the, the muse is usually not like following us around with a stopwatch and a timer saying, all right, cool, I've got an idea for you now, get in there and start creating. We generally have to place a little bit of framework, a little bit of structure around when we're going to do our creative work. And it's really about the idea of showing up and just doing the work, not necessarily always showing up and thinking we're going to make the greatest thing ever. We have to, engage in our practice and make time to do it. So let's go through the planning process. So I'm going to leave this as a download somewhere on this page. So you can just print this out and go through this, even go through it as I'm going through this video. You can print it out and we'll just go through it together. And I'll explain my process. So step number one is to print this out and do a couple of things. The first thing is that I actually put in my sleep times, my rest and sleep times. So I go through and I try to sort of be in bed or heading towards bed at 9 o'clock. It sounds like very early, but I've got a gig this week, so that's obviously not going to happen. But I schedule in sleep time and wake time. This allows me to make sure that I am rested and feeling energetic to be able to do my creative work. Because when you're tired, it's very hard to be creative and have the energy to come up with new ideas and actually do the work. So step one is really a productivity tip, which is get some good rest, number one. Then the next thing I do is I block out times for obligations or appointments that I've already made with other people. So that's like, a gig, I've got a meeting with a filmmaker, I've got coaching calls, throughout this day. I've got a dinner plan here. And then, so I block in all of those. The next thing is I block in times for meals and, preparing meals and cleaning up and all that stuff. So I block all of that time out. And that's the number one thing. So what that does is that takes all that time just off the table. And then it allows you to start putting in what's important to you. So the next thing is I block out time for my morning routine and my daily practice in the morning here. So that includes, having breakfast and sort of, having a shower and getting ready to do things. And then I start going through and counting up how many hours I have left to me. So this will depend if you're working full time or you're working 4 days or 3 days or 2 days, or maybe you're unemployed at the moment. This is going to vary dramatically, but I've done this in a process where I was working full time for someone else for a period, and it still allowed me to have between 10 and 15 hours of creative time if I was, focused. So whatever your situation is, you're going to at least find a couple of hours in your week that you can kind of turn over into doing your creative work. So I count them up. So here I've got basically 8. So at the bottom, I'll put in 8 and I'll just go through 8, 7, 3, 9. And then I'll take a couple of hours off each of those. So the 8 might go down to a 6. And then I add all of that time up. And I realize at the end of the week, oh, look, I've got 10 hours of time that I can use, or it's 20 or 30 or 40. So whatever that number becomes, you then want to ask yourself, this very important question. Even if it's 3 hours, 3 or 5 hours, you will definitely be able to find 3 or 5 hours in your week to do creative work. I've never done this with anyone and them not find at least kind of 8 to 10 hours. So the question you want to ask yourself with those 5 hours is, if I was really focused in that 5 hours, what could I achieve this week in my creative practice? So you might realize that in 5 hours, if you're a songwriter, you can probably, if you're focused, you can probably write one song, definitely one song, pretty likely 2 songs, 3 songs, maybe be pushing it, but you could get up to maybe 4 songs written if you just imagine yourself being completely focused and in the zone. And I'll talk about how to do that in future videos, but that's really the aim of this planner. So to just quickly go through those steps again, put in sleep times, block out obligations and things like meal times, then put in morning routine and daily practice, then count up how many spare blocks of time you have, add them up, take a couple of hours off just to be conservative, and then you'll have a final number, which could be 10 hours, and then ask yourself the question, if I was really focused in my art practice this week for these 10 hours, what could I achieve? And whatever the answer to that is, that becomes your creative goal for the week. So the creative goal might be, okay, I'm going to write 2 new songs this week, or I'm going to write 1 new song, or I'm going to sketch something, whatever. So that's the idea. I hope that's helpful. Please let me know. Either, leave a comment or email me back and let me know if you find this helpful. Make sure you download the template, and yeah, get in touch. Just let me know if this stuff's helpful. If there's anything else that you need help with in your creative practice, let me know kind of what your big challenges are at the moment. And I'm going through a process of kind of making some more helpful free resources. So take me up on it, let me know, and I hope you have a really creative week this week. I'd love it if you made some time to do your creative work, because your art matters. It really does matter. And this is something lots of artists struggle with, but your art matters. And if to no one else, it probably matters to you, and it makes you feel good doing it. So that's enough of a reason to do it, I think. So again, I hope that's helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.